Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing another Q&A. It's about that time. We have some new subscribers out there, so I like to do Q&As once in a while to kind of let my subscribers get to know me a little bit better, and also you're able to kind of ask me questions and kind of see who you're dealing with here. So I went to Instagram and I made a post and I said, everybody ask me anything that you want to ask. So I'm just going to pick a few so the video isn't too long. So on my Instagram I did ask me anything, so we're going to tap it and we're gonna read your questions. So this question is the very first question from a wife of Mr. Collins. She wants to know, where do I see myself 10 years from now? So in 10 years, me and my husband want to start traveling together, and that's always been a plan of ours. He's in the Navy, so at 40, he's gonna be retiring from the Navy. And we've always planned that at around that age is when we wanted to start traveling together and exploring the world together and kind of just starting to spend a lot more time with each other. So Abby Dawn wants to know, what inspires you to keep doing YouTube? What inspires me to keep doing YouTube is all of you. I know that sounds corny, but it's honestly the truth, because I started off doing YouTube for me, and as my channel grew and more people started to become interested in the content that I produced here on YouTube, and I see that I touch a lot of you, and that makes me happy, and that keeps me inspired to keep going to make these videos for you. And I love that I'm able to make you laugh, and I love that I'm able to shed some insight on my experiences in life and things like that, and it makes me happy that I make you happy. So the next question is from One Precious Life 28, and she wants to know, how did you learn to cook? So I guess I should say I wasn't always like the best cook. I learned how to cook like a few meals from my father-in-law, and it's always been a joke of my mom. She says the only reason your father-in-law showed you how to cook is so his son doesn't starve. He definitely showed me how to cook a few Filipino dishes that my husband likes, and then from there it kind of just took off, and then I would YouTube videos on what to cook. I would just start watching the Food Network, and I just really got into cooking because I like to prepare food for my family, and then seeing the look on their face and then the fact that they like my food, it kind of just gets me kind of pumped up to want to cook some good stuff for them. So that's kind of how I got into cooking. The next question is from Mindy Denise 31, and she wants to know, how do you get your kids to listen so well? I'm seriously considering running away. I always get this question, and I think I've gotten a few of those questions also, is like how I discipline my kids. And that's like a really like touchy subject, because you know everybody's gonna discipline their kids in a different way, and every kid is different. You know, what works for one kid is not gonna work for another. You can discipline one kid like timeouts, and that works for that kid, versus like taking something away from another kid, you know what I mean, and vice versa. So the way I get my kids to listen so well, and sometimes they don't listen so well, let me just say that right now, they honestly have a mind of their own, and sometimes they just kind of just don't listen, and they kind of want to see how far they can push me before I kind of just lose it also. But definitely a lot of communication, especially as your child gets older, they're able to understand more. So I do a lot of communication with my son. He's old enough now to kind of understand a few aspects of things, so I sit him down straight up in the face and I talk to him and I let him know, this is what you did wrong and that can't happen because of this and this and this. And I always tell my son, there are consequences for your actions, whether that's a good consequence or a bad consequence. And I sit down and I let him understand. I tell him what a consequence is, and I tell him what these words mean, and I sit down and actually have a face-to-face and talk to him. And I let him know that, you know, there are repercussions for your actions, and there are positive outcomes for your actions as well. So he has to decide, do you want a good outcome or do you want a negative outcome? So that's definitely how I kind of have my son start to make the best decisions and get him to listen to me. So as far as Nathan, he definitely doesn't like getting his tablet taken away. He doesn't like his video games get taken away, TV time. Those are the things that really work for him to kind of want to do the right thing, so he doesn't get a bad consequence. So, and as far as Nadia, she doesn't like timeouts, and I do put her on timeout. I'll put her up in her room and I let her sit down and I say, we're on timeout right now. and I just let her sit there, and then she kind of cries it out and she's whining and crying, and then I leave her there for like, honestly, she probably feels like it's like an hour, but honestly I leave her there for like 2 minutes. And that's enough to kind of straighten her out because she does not like timeouts. So you have to figure out what works for your kid. Does your kid hate getting his stuff taken away? Does your kid hate timeouts? Do they hate having to not hang out with their friends or something like that? So kind of figure out what works for your kid. That's definitely what has helped me as far as disciplining my kids and having them do the right thing and listening to me. So the next question is from Sophia Lourdes 01, and she wants to know, did you have any doubts when you first got pregnant with Nathan? I always knew that as soon as I got pregnant, I knew that I was going to, you know, have my son, so that wasn't a doubt in that aspect. But definitely being a first-time mom and being a young first-time mom, that is very intense and scary. You know, essentially you're a kid having a kid, you know what I mean? At 20, you haven't really experienced much, you know, and that depends. It really depends on the person, because a 20-year-old could have experienced a lot of stuff versus a 30-year-old who's still experiencing life, you know what I mean? So it really depends. But for me personally, I was a kid having another kid, so that was a little bit scary, but there was no doubt in my mind that I would love this child and give it my all. So the next question is from SkyBossB, and she wants to know, do you have a schedule for cleaning, cooking, and etc.? I do have a schedule. I have a daily routine video that I have on my channel. I do plan to do an updated one, but essentially it's the same type of deal. I'm very big on routines and schedules, so I do have like particular schedules for like morning cleaning routines and nighttime cleaning routines, and then I have schedules for my kids as well. And I feel like schedules and writing things down and timing things definitely keeps me sane to not like lose my mind and not, you know, get totally sidetracked with what needs to get done. So the next question is from M Sandoval 725, and she wants to know, are you and your husband mixed, and how did we meet, and where am I from? Me and my husband, we met through church. And my husband, he's from the Philippines. He came here when he was 13, and he's full Filipino. And me, I was born here in Southern California, and I am half Filipino and half black. My mother's Filipino, as I'm sure you've seen, and my father is black, so half and half. So the next question is from Zaina B, and she wants to know, why did you start YouTube? I started YouTube for myself. I definitely, after having my daughter, I kind of got into like a rut of just being a stay-at-home mom and a wife, and I didn't have anything really for myself to make me feel good. So I decided to just dabble in YouTube. It's something that it's always kind of been on my mind, but I've never really jumped into it because honestly I just didn't know where to start and like what to do until one day I just dove into it. The next question is from Nancy Farm MD. She wants to know, what made you choose Nathan and Nadia as your kids' names? I have 3 kids and their names are Nadia, Nathan, and Nolan. First of all, those are super cute names, I must say. And the way I chose my kids' names, it all starts with Nathan. I basically literally just named him after my younger brother. My younger brother's name is Jonathan Scott, and I named Nathan Scott. So I did name him after my younger brother. And then following with Nadia, I definitely wanted to have like the same letter starting name, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know why, I just wanted like all N's because Nathan was already an N, so every kid after that was gonna be an N just by default. So that's how I ended up just choosing Nadia's name. Looked through the popular N names for girls, and Nadia stood out to me, and I thought that was super sweet and cute. And as far as her middle name, Presley, I remember when Nathan was in preschool, I was coming to pick him up and they were playing outside in the little like play area, and I heard one of the teachers say Presley, and I was like, that is the cutest name ever. That's how I ended up giving Nadia her middle name, Presley. So Sylvia 2008 wants to know, do you plan on having more kids? And I love your videos. I always look forward to seeing your new videos. Thank you, Sylvia. It's always been up in the air as far as me having more children. I know 100% I do not want more kids after 30. Like, I don't want to have kids after 30. It's just always kind of been on my mind that I would never have kids after 30 because I want to raise my kids and I still want to have time for myself when I'm like older, after I've raised the kids and I'm still young enough to do stuff with my husband. So I definitely don't want kids after 30. And as far as like right now, at this very moment, I don't plan on having any more children, but you never know the way life is set up. So I have 2 more years before I'm 30, so who knows. And I just had to share this question with you, and it's from my brother. He's so dumb, but I had to share with you because I'm gonna give him an answer for his very silly question. He wants to know, what do I do if I get a marble stuck in my nose? Well, little brother, I don't know why a 26-year-old man has a marble stuck in his nose, but I would recommend you going to your doctor and getting some help on that. Okay, so another question is from Catherine Mason, and she wants to know, if applicable, how do you plan to talk to your children about the current political climate, the unavoidable hate in the world? That is a deep ass question, girl. But without getting too far into like political and religious and things like that, because that is a sensitive subject where, you know, there's always going to be somebody thinking one thing versus another, and to not offend anybody, I don't want to just jump too deep into it. But basically, the way I want my kids to live their life and to deal with certain aspects of things is to just be honest, you know, and to just do the right thing. Do it not because it's going to benefit them, but because it's the right thing to do. You know, I want my kid to go and hold the door open for an older lady, or I want my son to let a pregnant woman sit down on the seat on the bus. I want things like that, and that's what I'm trying to instill in my children. So when things like racism and politics and stuff like that come up, they have nothing but love in their hearts and tolerance. That's definitely a big thing. And I feel like if the world is just more tolerant and more loving and more understanding, then it would be such a better place. Don't you think? It would be just a much better place. But the world we live in is not 100% like that. So I also don't want my kids to go out there being totally just super nice and then getting taken advantage of. So I have to find a middle ground for my kids to do the right thing and be kind, but also be firm and be strong and stand up for what's right and defend themselves. So I got a few years. I got a few years in trying to mold my kids, and you know, with a little bit of faith and a little bit of luck, I think we'll be all right. But that's a very good and deep question, girl. Come through. We have a college student here, I see. So the last question, I did get a question from Snapchat. And I guess this person wanted to remain private, so I'm gonna go ahead and respect her wishes on that, and I am gonna answer her question because I feel like this is a really good question that could help a lot of people. So her question is, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I feel like I'm losing who I was before having kids. I realize everything is changing, but I didn't think I would lose who I am. What advice would you give a stay-at-home mom that is feeling this way? So this is a great question because I've definitely been in this situation before. I've been a stay-at-home mom for about 8 years now, and when I had my second child is when I started to kind of feel like I was losing who I was and what made me happy. You can't take care of your kids if you don't take care of yourself, and I always say that because it's so true. Definitely, I recommend finding something for you. And I have a lot of videos on how to be a productive mommy, how to be a stay-at-home mom, and stuff like that to kind of help you feel a little bit like you have a little bit more structure in your life and to not feel like super stressed out, you know. So definitely find something that works for you, that you could have for yourself. And remember, what did you have before having kids? And just because we have kids and we become mothers doesn't make us less of who we used to be. You know, we're mothers, but we're still who we are deep down, and we still have our own passions and our own things that make us happy, and we should hold on to those things because that's what's going to keep us going and keep us human and keep us being the best mothers that we can be to our kids. You know, doing things for ourselves is healthy, and it's very important that we find that aspect in our lives, that what makes us happy and we can stick with it and essentially just become a better person and feel better about ourselves. So that is all the questions that I have. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got to know me a little bit better. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would love to have you join our little family here on YouTube. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys. So here's a quick overview of what I got the kids and what's in each of their baskets, and we're gonna go ahead and start with Nadia's basket first.